see if I can just do one other thing here. Okay. So thank you everybody for coming. I know some of you were in the Spanish, so thank you for coming twice and joining both times. For those who didn't join the Spanish, so you know a little bit about why I'm talking about hair. My name is Paulina, and I am a licensed cosmetologist, even though I do not, I am not working in a salon currently. But I was taught by my dad, who started working for Vidal Sassoon in the 70s. If any of you have heard about Vidal Sassoon, it was a very popular salon in the city. They make shampoos and all that stuff now, but they were known for their bobs back in the 70s and 80s. They're the kind of the ones that did like the really sleek bob. And so that's where my dad learned hair. And so I learned from him, and I was saying in the Spanish, I do not do hair now because I will never be as good as my dad. And he's always very encouraging, but he's just so amazing. So, which I'm totally okay with that. But I do love talking about hair, and I do like doing hair, just not working in a salon anymore. So anyhow, that way you know a little bit about my background, why I can talk a bit about hair, because I learned from one of the best. So before getting into knowing how we know if our hair is healthy and talking about products and all of that, if you are with Young Living, have been with Young Living for a while, then you know about the oils that we talk about for our hair, and the different supplements and stuff. But maybe some of you watching now or later on in the recording don't know much about Young Living. So we talk about supplements and oils and all of that yummy stuff for our hair. We'll talk about that later. But before talking about anything, we always need to learn the fundamentals of what it is that we're talking about, right? So what is hair anatomy? We need to talk about that a little bit to know which products and oils to use later. So how our hair grows is it grows at the follicle. And once it leaves your scalp, the root, once it leaves your scalp, it's technically dead. So there's ways of treating your hair so that it doesn't have split ends and all of that stuff. But the most important part is really the health of your scalp. If your scalp is not healthy, the rest of your hair will not look healthy either. So that's why we want to make sure that we're treating our scalp well. Another thing is our body chemistry and genes. Sorry if I'm looking down, I'm just checking my notes every once in a while as well. But our body chemistry and genes have a lot to do with how our hair will look. So if you want long, luscious, thick locks, but your mother, your grandmother, and all your aunts have super thin, short hair, it probably won't grow super long and thick. Or if you have super thick hair and it's beautifully straight, and you want curly hair, but no one else in your family has curly hair, you probably won't get curly hair, or you probably won't get straight hair unless you iron it, obviously, if you have curly hair, right? It's in our genes, the way our hair is. Even though you can help a little bit, you can help it become a little bit more thick, but just don't feel so bad if you're like, but I'm doing all of these things and it's not helping me much. We have to look at our genes as well. Just a little point to mention. Something else super important for our hair is making sure that it's conditioned. It needs moisture. It needs to have moisture in order to be strong and healthy. So super important that when you're shampooing your hair, please, please, please condition it. Make sure you're conditioning. A lot of people just shampoo their hair. But what happens when you shampoo it is you're stripping the oils from your scalp, which is when the oils from your scalp is what makes your hair strong and healthy. So a lot of people will wash their hair every single day so that it's not oily, when in fact the oils actually help your hair. And if you're over shampooing it, you're stripping the oils, which will, the sebum from your scalp is actually going to try to overcompensate, and it'll cause it to become more oily. So you think you're fixing a problem, you're actually making it worse. So make sure that you are not shampooing every day. For the most part, okay, there's always certain circumstances where we might want to, like if we work somewhere there's a lot of contamination or something like that, where you might want to be shampooing it every day, but for the most part, please try not to do that. But when you do shampoo it, make sure you're conditioning it to get the moisture back into your hair. Something you can do if you're not shampooing every day is if you still, let's say you were, worked out and were sweating, or you're outside, or there's dust or whatever, right? And you don't want that on your hair strands before you go to bed, maybe. Rinse out your hair. And then you can even add a little bit of conditioner to your ends and comb it out. And the water will wash it away. When you want to strip off now the products that you've been using, and get rid of if your hair is, oily now to the point where it's like down here, the oils, then that's when you use shampoo, right? Sorry, 1 second. Sorry. So sorry about that. There was like some loud music coming from the other room, and if you hear it still, I apologize. Just close the door. Okay. So yes, shampooing, rinsing out your hair will suffice many times. So why is it that we want to take care of our hair? Can you guys still hear the music in the background? No? Okay, good. Is because our hair is delicate. So if you think of like a cashmere sweater, for instance, those are kind of expensive, right? So usually most of us might not even have a cashmere sweater. If we do, we've earned or used our hard-earned cash to get it, or maybe it was a hand-me-down or something, right? But when you do have a cashmere sweater or whatever cashmere, whatever you have, you are going to take care of that baby, right? You're not going to be putting it in harsh detergent. You're not going to be using bleach with the sweater. You're not going to be throwing it into the dryer. You're going to take care of that. So our hair is very delicate, like a cashmere sweater. So we want to make sure that we are delicate with it as well. So the ingredients that we use, we want to make sure that they're not harsh. They're not stripping your hair, right? We want to make sure that we're not bleaching our hair all the time. And we don't want to be using hot tools constantly either, because you are literally damaging the strands of your hair. So let's talk a bit about foods now. What does food have to do with your hair? So our hair is mostly, if you look under a microscope and take tests from the strands of your hair, you're going to find out that your hair is made mostly of protein. So if we're not eating enough protein in our diet, whether it's meat, if you don't eat meat, well, then there's beans, there's legumes, there's so many other ways of introducing protein into our diet. But if we're not eating enough, that could be causing for our hair to thin as well. So again, if it's made of mostly protein, you're not eating protein, it's going to thin out. Something else that will help your the thickness of your hair and just the overall health of your hair are omega-3s. So we want to introduce omega-3s. I was mentioning in the Spanish one as well, something my husband and I watched this really interesting documentary the other day, and they were talking about omegas, how we all think that it comes from fish, right? Omegas do not come from fish. It actually comes from a certain type of kelp that the fish eat. And because the fish eat it, they get omegas. And then when they get fish, the fish oil, then, but it actually does not come from fish, which I think is just a side point, but it's very interesting. But omegas are really good for us. So just when you're looking at ingredients, Young Living does have a supplement that I'll show you later of omegas. But if you're not going to get from Young Living, just make sure that what the ingredients are, that they're good ingredients and the source of where it comes from. Also, foods rich in vitamin C are super important for the health of our hair. Why? Well, foods rich in vitamin C have antioxidant properties, and these antioxidant properties protect our hair follicles from free radical damage. If you're with Young Living, as soon as you hear free radical, you think of Ningxia, right? So that is something super important that we could use for the health of our hair. Many people don't think of Ningxia as that it'll help. You think about maybe your health, your immune system, And of course, it's great for that, but it actually will help the health of your hair because it's protecting your hair from free radicals. Okay, let's move on to talk about something that I get questions about quite often, especially lately this past year or so, hair loss. I feel comfortable with saying that maybe most of us have had more hair loss this past year or so than ever in our lives, possibly, unless maybe we've been ill in the past and we've lost a lot of hair because of an illness we might have had. The reason is because it is stress induced for the most part. So, sorry. Oh, sorry, 1 second. For some reason, the recording got paused. So we want to try to maintain our stress levels as low as possible. It's easier, much easier said than done, right? But there are things we can do. We have oils to help with our stress levels. We have a supplement called Cortistop, which also helps with stress levels to maintain them as low as possible. The more we stress, the more it's going to induce other issues, which then causes hair loss. So you might have found that you are losing a lot of hair, could be because of thyroid issues. So whenever someone says that they have a lot of hair loss, that's actually the first thing I ask, is if you've checked your thyroid levels to see if they're healthy. And also iron deficiency is also another reason why we might be losing more hair. The interesting thing is that those two things, both iron and thyroid, are very, very closely linked. So if you have thyroid issues, you probably have an iron deficiency. If you have iron deficiency, it could be that you have thyroid issues. So check both of those things out. And then there's things obviously you can do, supplements you can take for iron, using cast iron pans, all of that, especially for women, it's really important that we use it, or that we have a good iron intake. So those are 3 things: stress, thyroid issues, iron deficiency could be causing more hair loss. Something else is weather. The weather is changing all over the place. And whenever that happens, whenever we go into a new season, we shed, just like animals shed throughout the seasons. It's the same thing with us. Our hair, we shed hair. So you might not have noticed it, but it literally will happen every single year. And every single year you'll say, why am I losing so much hair? And you forget that last year you said the exact same thing. It happens all the time. So just try to figure out, you can even make a note in your calendar. That way when next year comes, see if it happens to coincide that during springtime or when, start of winter or fall, that you're noticing more hair loss. Yes, that was you, Sam. Also, brush your hair, please. And if you brush your hair, you'll notice that you won't lose as much hair when you take a shower. Because if you don't brush it, when you take a shower, you're taking out all the strands that have been caught into your hair, and you're gonna be like, oh my goodness, I've lost so much hair. No, it's just that you haven't combed it throughout the week. So it seems like you've lost a ton of hair, but you haven't, you're fine, don't worry. So let's talk now about hair health. How to know if your hair is healthy or if it is unhealthy. There are a few ways of knowing if your hair is healthy. So we were talking about hair loss, right? So if you have minimal hair loss, well, then that's normal. When you shower, you're going to lose hair. It is normal. People see little clumps of hair and they're like, oh, it's normal. We all have clumps of hair that we lose in the shower, especially if you're not washing it every day. It is okay. Don't worry. Now, if you have a big old glob of hair, which does happen to some people, then you might want to, check with your doctor. Another way of knowing is if you wake up in the morning and you see a lot of hair over your pillow, that's also not a good sign, because that means that your hair is easily falling out with some friction throughout the night. So you might also just check that out in the morning. If you see hair on your pillow, you might want to get checked out to see if your thyroid is okay, and the steps that we mentioned earlier. Also, if your hair is dry or dull, weak, all of those things would be signs that your hair is not healthy. If it's not any of those things, if it feels nice and moisturized, if it feels strong, if it's not dull, then it means your hair is nice and healthy. Now there's also a strand test that you can do. So what you do is you take a strand of hair, which you're not going to be able to see because mine is very fine, so you won't see it through here, but I'll just kind of show you what I'm doing. So if you take one end of the hair, like mid-shaft, and then you pull the end of it lightly and then let it go. If you see it bounce back into place, doesn't matter, your hair doesn't need to be curly. Even if it's straight, it should always have a bit of bounce. If it has a bit of bounce, then your hair is healthy. It means it's strong and it's in good shape. If you do that strand test, you can do it now. You pull the, hold it from the middle, hold at the end, and then just lightly let go. If it doesn't go anywhere, if it stays completely flat, like doesn't move at all, it could be that there's an issue as well. So that's another way to know if your hair is strong. Or if you do that and it breaks off, that's also a big sign that there's something going on. You're missing either some type of vitamin or mineral, something is missing or not right, hormonal imbalance, something that's causing that. So if you're worried, do those few tests and see how it is. Now, your hair can be unhealthy if it breaks off easily, if it is dry or dull. If you're losing a lot of hair, it means it's unhealthy. Something that could be causing that is if you're over coloring, over bleaching your hair. We want to a lot of times have pretty highlights in our hair, which is fine. But I would also look at the color that's being used, the bleach that's being used, because it could be extremely damaging, not only for your hair, but it could, because it's getting so close to your scalp, it could be going into your bloodstream as well. So just look at the type of bleach that's being used and how often you're doing it. Really, and then if you feel like your hair is dry, well, it's probably that. If you have split ends, very extremely frizzy, we all have frizz, that's okay. And like I said, it should not snap. If it snaps easily, then your hair might be unhealthy. Another question I get often is regarding dandruff. I always get asked, I have so much dandruff, what do I do? What's wrong with my head? I can't get rid of this dandruff. So the first thing I always ask is, where is the dandruff? If it's on your scalp or if it's just in your hair strands. So majority of the time, most of the time, it's going to just be in your hair strands. And you think it's your scalp, but when you look at your scalp, there's not going to be any skin that's flaking off, which a lot of times is a little shocking because you think dandruff comes from your scalp. That's not always the case. Dandruff could be coming from products, products that you're using mixed with the oils and all of that is what causes dandruff on your hair. So just doing a nice rinse, a baking soda wash, followed by an ACV apple cider vinegar wash, will get your strand, get rid of the product residue and get your hair nice and pretty and dandruff free. Now, if you do notice that the dandruff, the flakiness is coming from your actual scalp, that it's actually flaky, then there could be something else to that. It doesn't always mean immediately that you have some type of health issue, but it could mean you have a health issue. It could be that you have thyroid issues. It could also be that if you're taking a certain strong medication, that could be drying out your skin and your scalp. Your scalp is part of your skin. So it could be causing that as well. And you might need to do some type of mask or something on your scalp just to get it healthy again. So do look at the difference between those two. Okay, now I want to talk a bit about ingredients in our products. Again, if you're with Young Living, you probably already started doing this with a lot of your stuff, which is awesome. But if you don't know much about Young Living or you're just starting, it's good to look at our ingredients. Very important to look at ingredients. But a lot of times we say, hey, it's great, our products don't have parabens, it doesn't have sulfate free, it's free of this, that. But a lot of other companies also say that. So it's important to know why we don't want these products or these ingredients in our products, to understand what, when we're choosing the products that we choose, that we go in with knowledge, right? Not just because that's what everybody is telling me. So let's talk about some of these dangerous ingredients. Let's talk about sulfates, first of all. Why we want products that are sulfate free. First of all, sulfates strip your scalp of the natural moisture, and it dehydrates your hair. So if you find that your hair is very dry, check to see if you're using ingredients that have sulfates in it. Then we have parabens. Parabens, this is a very interesting, when I researched this, I thought it was extremely interesting and scary. So parabens are preservatives that mimic estrogen, okay? They mimic estrogen. Too much estrogen causes hormonal imbalance. So this is parabens now. It can also cause breast cancer. Why? Because if you have too much estrogen in your body, that's going to go right to your glands, which then can cause, obviously that's not going to be the only reason, but if you have a history, especially if you have history in your family of breast cancer, really try to stay clear of parabens in your products. Also, when we look at products either at a salon or at the store, they could have long shelf lives, but that just means that they also have more toxins in them. They're more toxic to make it a longer shelf life. And those toxins then enter our bloodstream. Not great, right? So here's one that completely blew my mind when I researched it. PEGs. It's a very long name, so its acronym is PEG. PEGs are synthetic petrochemicals, okay, in many, many hair products and even skincare. They contain carcinogens, respiratory irritants. Now, listen to this, okay, this is super, super crazy. PEGs were used as a gas in World War I. And that's now being used in our products. I mean, just sit with that for a second. It's kind of sickening, right? That these are the things being used, but it's the case. And then also we have phthalates, phthalates. Phthalates affect mental and behavioral development. So when we think of our kiddos, our nephews and nieces that maybe are struggling with behavioral development or mental development, maybe let's look at our ingredients too to see what we've been using on them, or even if we've been using them and then, you know, we're then passing this on to our kids as well. So it goes beyond just saying ingredients, don't, you know, avoid these ingredients. Now, there are many companies now that say that they're free of all of these things, right? But almost all of them that say that they're free of those things will almost always have fragrance in it. So they could be free of all the other stuff, but they'll have fragrance. Even ones that say that they are natural and all of that. So always check the ingredients. Why is fragrance not good for us? Well, it's an allergen and it triggers neurological disorders as well as asthma attacks. So again, if that's something that we've suffered from, check to see our ingredients, what we're using. So that is a bit about how we can have healthier hair. So now I wanted to kind of talk about just briefly some products that I recommend from Young Living in this case, and also a couple of tools that I recommend for our hair. So we talked about Ningxia, right? Ningxia is super important, even though we might not have thought of it as being good for our hair. It's super important for our hair. Okay, as long as you have Ningxia and sulfurzyme, all is good in the world. Like these are just the two things that you need for your hair. If you want your hair healthy and you're not using these two things yet, just do yourself a favor and get yourself sulfurzyme. There's the powder form, which is not in stock right now, but we do have the pills, and I love the capsules. They're easy to swallow for me, so I like that. But it is absolutely amazing. It has MSM, it has wolfberry, which is what Ningxia has as well. So please try this. Now, if you're looking for an omega, we talked about how important omegas are. We also have Omega Gize. I use this every day because it also helps balance out my hormones and my adrenals. It helps a lot with that. So kind of kill two birds with one stone, right? Everything is kind of intertwined. If the inside of your body is not good, the outside of your body is not going to be good, whether it's skin, hair, etc. Now regarding products to use for your hair, absolutely love Mira oil. It's going to be backwards, sorry about that. But Mira is fantastic. So the way you use it is when you're out of the shower, you can put a couple of drops, depending on how thick your hair is, anywhere from 2 to 5 drops, from like mid shaft down to the ends, not too close to the root so it doesn't get greasy. And then if you're going to be blow drying your hair, it's great to protect your hair from heat or even from hot tools, right? Oh, that was one thing I did fail to mention. Try to stay away from hot tools as much as possible. I know that's hard to say, but if you're noticing that your hair is dry and a little fried and split ends, it could be that you're overusing the hot tools a bit too much. So maybe give it a break a bit and then get back to it. Natural is beautiful. So you can use that. Or if you have curly hair, you can right out of the shower when it's still like kind of sopping wet, add a few drops and put it through your hair and then just scrunch it. And then throughout the week or whatever, you can add some to your hair if you have a bit of frizz or anything like that. So I love Mira oil, super, super fantastic. Regarding shampoos and conditioners, some like to use Dan Living's shampoo and conditioner. So if you have either curly hair or thick hair, even though mine's not thick, it is curly. So I recommend Copaiba Vanilla for those of you who have thick or curly hair. If you have thinner hair, straight hair, then the lavender. Some like lavender mint, but not too many, so I don't always recommend it. You can try it out, of course. But the regular lavender is super fantastic as well. If you are switching over from store brand to this, it might take a little bit of getting used to. There is a period where your hair is like, what's going on? Why don't I have all the stuff I usually have in it? So it might be a little oily at first. Don't get scared by that. Give it a couple of weeks. If after a couple of weeks you notice that it's still too greasy, your hair, one, you can dilute it a little bit. So add a little bit in your hand and then add water, and then so you can dilute it, or use less. You don't, so that's the one thing that I think we're so used to, like squirting a bunch in your hand and seeing all the suds, and the suds is what cleans, right? No, but suds are not what cleans. Friction is what cleans. So as long as you scrub your scalp super well, that is the most important thing, no matter what. You can just use water. As long as you're scrubbing your scalp, that's what's really getting all the grime off. So just need a little bit. So if you're having issues with grease, maybe those couple of things can help you as well. And then a couple of tools that I recommend is if you have straight hair, I love a good boar bristle brush. It'll help get the oils of your scalp down to your ends too, so it's not all concentrated here, and it'll also make the ends of your hair nice and shiny as well, and it doesn't damage your hair. So boar bristle brush is fantastic. And then for curly hair, straight hair, doesn't matter. I love it for curly hair though, especially, is using a detangle teaser. Let's see if you can, it's backwards, but at least you can kind of see. Tangle teaser. It's this brush. It has bristles, that shorter and longer bristles. You can get it, I think it's like $10 from Amazon. Absolutely fantastic. When you're putting conditioner on your hair, you need to comb through the conditioner throughout your strands, because if not, it's not doing anything. It's just going on the top strands and it's not getting into the core of your strands. You're not doing your hair any good. So make sure you're combing through your hair, and you want to start at the ends of your hair and then work your way up. But this is a super, super good. It's not going to tangle. It's just going to comb right through, even if you have super tangly hair. And then if you want to make curls, you can also make curls with it by just pulling them out, and then you twist it and then scrunch. It'll make really nice curls to this brush. So it's kind of a 2-for-1. And then to take out the moisture of your hair, most of us use like regular, terry towel or whatever it's called, or regular towels, and we do the little beehive on top of our head and let it dry. They're actually really damaging for your hair. I don't know why salons use it. They're like full with like little links and loops, and those will it'll rub your hair and it'll make it frizzy. So what's recommended is usually either a cotton t-shirt or microfiber, a microfiber cloth. But my absolute favorite, I kind of stumbled across this, is a Turkish towel. I love a Turkish towel. My mom gifted me one, and I realized that just using on it, like you like barely touch your skin and it absorbs the moisture. Like it's pretty phenomenal. So I tried it on my hair and I realized that I just scrunched it in my hair and it was not stopping wet. Like that doesn't happen with a regular towel. It's still going to be super wet, even if you scrunch it with a towel. With this, it just grabs all the moisture, but doesn't rub and won't give that friction to your hair. So Turkish towel, I've gotten the Turkish towel, like hand towels from Amazon. They're awesome. They're cheap and they work super good. So those are a few things that I recommend. Let's see. I think we had a few questions here. So what is the first brush called? This is a men's brush. It's called Men's Own or something. It's not the best boar bristle. I got it for my husband, and he it's not good for his hair because he has curly hair. So this is a boar bristle I recommend for straight hair. So I use it when my hair's straight is what I use. But yeah, just look for a boar bristle. Some of them are they're like combined with plastic, so just make sure it's all boar bristle. Is it bad for your hair if you don't brush it often? I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I don't brush my hair every day, especially since it's curly. And when it's straight, I just finger comb. I like using my fingers for everything. I like using my fingers to put on makeup. I like to use it to comb my hair, except for when you're in the shower. When you're in the shower, fingers do not do it justice. You need a good comb. But what will happen is you will find, because it's tangling in there, you will be losing more hair when you're in the shower. So if you have straight hair, to brush your hair and get the oils through the strands, it is better for the health of your hair. If it's curly, I'm not going to say to brush your hair if it's curly, right? But if it's straight, yeah, it is good for you to do. Celise said, have a tender head and use a tangle teaser. Love it. Yeah, it's super, super awesome. Yeah, no, bristle is the boar bristle is for straight hair mostly. Lavender shampoo, yeah. Straight hair, those with straight hair are saying that you guys like the lavender shampoo. Tiny bit of mirror before drying. Yes, super awesome. Did you girls see any other questions? Can anything be done to fix?
I have a question. Oh, yeah, that was my question.
Was that your question? Okay, so that's a good question. So you can't fix split end because it's already damaged. The only way to do it is cutting it. And if you have split ends, you need to cut it, because what's happening is it's weighing down your hair, and it's just going to, your hair is going to look limp and not good when you have a lot of split ends. You can even do it at home, especially since we're trying not to be out as much, most of us. So, you know, you can just look for the little strands. A lot of times what you can do is you can twist your hair. Just twist it, twist it, twist it. And then you'll see all these little hairs popping up that'll look like little white heads almost on them. So you can just take scissors and snip them off. And that'll just help the health of your hair. But yeah, there's no way to fix something that's damaged to that point already. It has to be cut off. But very good question. Does anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, Paulina. So Tanya and I had a similar question. When it comes to the conditioning of your hair, should you use the conditioner just on like the ends or the halfway down, or from the scalp down?
Very good question. Both. I'll explain why I say both. So you don't want to be getting a lot of conditioner on your scalp. The point of the conditioner is for moisture. So if you're just after shampoo, conditioning your hair or rinsing it and then wanting just for your ends to be moisturized, yeah, from the mid shaft down is great. However, if your scalp is very dry, I would say use a little bit of conditioner, not a lot, but just a little bit, and massage it. Like, you have to massage it super well into your scalp. For those who have curly hair, there is something called co-washing. So it's called conditioner washing. So instead of shampooing it every every day, every other day, you can actually take a little bit of conditioner. And again, same thing is that's how you're washing your hair, is with conditioner. So you can actually wash your hair with conditioner as well. But it depends on the type of hair that you have. If you find that your hair is very dry, if your scalp is very dry, then I would say go for it and try it. But just make sure that you use a little bit, massage it extremely well, and then rinse it really, really well also at the end. So it's kind of both. I would say both.
Yeah, and I had a question in the chat. So how do you recommend wearing your hair at night when you go to bed? Because most people I know can do it up or whatever, or they can just do it loose. What do you recommend? And also keep in mind, I have to wear a CPAP mask, which has straps all around my head. So having it down leaves like big old kinks in my hair. So I don't know. What do you recommend?
Okay. Does your CPAP, does it have the hose from the top of the head or from the nose or mouth?
Nose going down, but
Okay.
the straps go around my head to keep the hose on.
Does it
Great,
go
great
up
sex.
top or just
The
around
strap-
like the ears?
The straps themselves or the hose?
The straps.
The straps go right here and then
Hold on.
right here. So they go around
I'm sorry,
the
I
bottom.
have the
and around
chat right in front of your face, so I didn't see it. Can you show me again?
No, yeah. So the hose goes right here,
Mhm.
and then the strap goes around the top of my head and around the bottom of my head.
Okay,
Very
Okay,
sexy.
so then- gorgeous. Hey, whatever makes you breathe and
I know.
alive.
Exactly. What keeps me breathing is good.
Yes. So in that case, for straight hair, it's a little bit different than curly, but because you use a CPAP, I would recommend, even for curly, I like these guys. Because they tend to not keep a bend in your hair. You know, it won't give you that ring that usually most do. So just do you can do a high ponytail. So just do it up here, right? Or do a bun. If your hair is long enough, you can put it at the top as well and do a bun. And that'll give you even less of a band, band around your hair, especially if it's straight. I think I would probably recommend a bun. If you had curly hair, then the way you do it with curly hair, if any of you are curlies here, to keep your curls nice and safe is you kind of do like a little like a unicorn. And you just tie it like that. Kind of like a little Indian, bun at the top, but right in the front. And that'll keep from this going straight. But you can also do that, at least for your own hair. Something I recommend so it's kind of twofold folded your question, like how do you keep it at night, but also because of the CPAP. But I recommend a silk pillowcase. They usually recommend it for curly hair, but I think in general it's good because, I mean, friction is friction, right, on your hair, whether it's straight or curly. So a silk pillowcase is usually what's recommended. A braid, thanks, Sam. I know I looked adorable with that bun on my top of my head. Yeah, you can do a braid too if your hair is long enough. You can definitely do a braid, but you just have to remember that it's, it has to start up here. Unless you did like a really low pony, but I feel like because you have so much already here, doing a low pony is going to add stress to your neck. So that's why I recommend to go up high.
Yeah, I try
but
to
if
put
you
it on top so it doesn't
Yeah.
get like with the pillow.
Exactly. Yeah. So if I would recommend that in your case, but if you have long straight hair, then yeah, definitely do a braid, and that's fantastic. Fantastic, because you have nice, pretty waves in the morning. ACV wash instead of shampoo. Oh, that's good. So I actually recommend doing baking soda first before ACV. ACV is great. It's a great follow-up for baking soda. But the baking soda is what's going to help with the removing of residue from your hair. So I would say start with baking soda first, add your essential oils, water, do that rinse, and then the ACV is going to help balance out the pH again. And it'll also help with the moisture and conditioning of your hair. So, but ACV is awesome. Yeah. And there's also one that you can do with Thieves, which is actually my favorite now. Thieves dish soap, squirt of Thieves Thieves dish soap and water and a cap full of Thieves cleaner. It is absolutely fantastic. Not that you would do it every single day, but if you're want like a clarifying shampoos are super damaging for your hair, guys. So please don't buy regular clarifying shampoos. They just strip your hair horribly. But if you need something to clarify because you have a lot of buildup residue, anything like that, then definitely try that out. Other than Young Living shampoo, sorry, Celeste, first of all, did that answer your question? Kind of
Oh,
went
about how
into
to
a
put up my
tangent.
hair?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, good. Thank you.
No problem. Other than Young Living shampoo, any other brands you recommend that's healthy? Would you perhaps know about Monet? Okay, I do your own research when it comes to other brands. I did my own research and I have chosen not to use it because the research I did, one of the things has to do with fragrance. So I would just say, do your research with it. And then you have to feel comfortable, right? If you're like, well, it's good enough, then that's great. If you feel like, no, I don't want it, then don't do it. Other brands, I do like, there's a brand, but if you're a hairdresser, you can get it. Or if you have a friend that's a hairdresser, they can try to order it. Or if there's a salon in your area, you can go to the salon. It's called Oway. They have a color line too, which is my absolute favorite color line. Not only is it as organic as you can get for color, of course, it's not going to be 100% organic, but as organic as you can get for color. They also have a bleach line that's super good. But the color itself is about the best color I've ever used, and I've tried many in the past. Oway, the way Sam has it written down. That's the one. So they also have shampoos and conditioners. There are others that are probably, when it comes to shampoos and conditioners, might be have less ingredients in it. But if you're not finding that it works and you want one that's like salon, that they'd have in the salons, then that's the one I would recommend, is that brand. Oh, thanks, Sam. Yeah, I have other recipes in my hair course if it's something you wanna learn. Inner Sense, I personally don't love. I think Sam likes it, but I waited too long and couldn't return mine. We did not like how it worked in our hair. It could be because of our type of hair. I personally didn't love it, but it could be that for others they like it, and the ingredients are pretty good. They're not bad, so you could try it. But yeah, it's not great. I didn't like it. I'd much rather use Young Living than Inner Sense, or just baking soda and ACV. Personally, it doesn't take long to do, and it's super quick, and it's as natural as you can get, really, if you do that. Going back to while my husband loves the shampoo, he knows oh, awesome. Loses less hair. That's super awesome. Less falls out. Receding. Hey, there you go. So again, try it out, give it a couple of weeks, and then don't give up on it right away. Give it a little bit. And if you try the Copaiba vanilla, I love the way it smells, but you might feel like it's too thick for your hair. Try the lavender. Or maybe you try the lavender and you're like, you know what, this is not good for my hair, then try, opposite. You might have to try a couple of them out. Baking soda, oh, you just make it yourself. So it's 1 tablespoon of baking soda to a cup of water. That's it. 1 tablespoon baking soda to 1 cup of water. And then you add your essential oils in it. I completely forgot about the mermaid spray. Don't know how I forgot this. If you want your hair to be healthy and nice and strong and all of that stuff, and if you've seen the girls with the super long, luxurious hair, if you have short hair and you still want it to be luxurious, mermaid spray is absolutely phenomenal. Some use it on the ends of their hair, that's fine, but mostly it's most important, again, like we were talking about our scalp, this is where the health of our hair starts. So spray it on your scalp, massage it well. Mermaid spray, the recipe I like to use, there's different ones, but always the first 3 are lavender, cedarwood, and rosemary. Rosemary is super, 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 super good for hair health. Also, geranium is amazing for hair health, so I like adding geranium. And joy. Joy is a little bit more of a luxurious oil to add to it. But if you have it on your ER, you have your ER points or whatever they're going to be called now, the loyalty rewards, and you want to try it. Or if you have joy, add it because it's absolutely fantastic and it smells super yummy, of course. But joy contains geranium and a few other oils that are really good for the health of your hair. So that's why I added it. Also, ginger is another one you can add because it's very good for the health of your hair as well. Doesn't smell the best. Ginger is not my favorite smell when it comes to oils, but it's super good for many reasons. Okay. Baking soda or bicarb soda. Is it the same thing, Dee or Nadia? Yeah, it's the same. Bicarbonato. So yeah, it's the same. In the US, we say
I
baking
thought
soda.
bicarbonate. Sorry, I thought bicarbonate was different, bicarb, rather than baking soda. No.
I don't think so. I know in
No,
Spanish and in
the U-
Italian it's bicarbonato.
Yeah, it's the same
so
thing.
I think it's
Oh, it's the same thing.
The
Okay.
US just say it a bit different to us, Nadia.
Yeah.
That's all. But it's the same.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
Sorry.
it's an Aussie thing. That's all right.
Glad you said that. That way everybody else, if anyone else is not from the US, you know. So bicarbonate, baking soda, same thing. So yeah. And then when you do the ACV rinse, it's going to be the same as well. 1 tablespoon to a cup. And that's it. Mermaid spray. No, actually, thank you for mentioning that, Andy. Yeah, witch hazel and water. I don't like to do the whole thing with witch hazel just because it could dry your hair out, even though you're using alcohol free. But I like to do half and half water, half witch hazel, personally. Let's see. Ooh, anything else? Thank you all so much for joining. Really appreciate it. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out. My Instagram, it's just my name. If you have any other questions, you're very welcome. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day or your evening, wherever you guys are. Talk to you later. Thank you.
You guys.
Night.
See ya. Bye.
Thank you so much. That was awesome.
Thank you.